Everybody loves superheroes, right? No one's getting tired of them, right? Okay, maybe people are, but don't worry, here's another superhero to save the day. Koala Man, an Australian hero. Now, Koala Man, the character, not the show, is basically a terrible superhero that no one likes. He's a stickler for the rules, mainly stopping people from jaywalking instead of murdering people. He's a square and a very awkward guy. He's not like the other heroes, you know. This guy is extremely bland, in both personality and appearance. Now, a character like this could have gotten extremely boring very fast, and initially I was really worried that this was going to happen. However, Koala Man, the show, not the character this time, is able to get around this issue by putting this unassuming, essentially useless guy in extremely wacky and unbelievable situations. This is a show where an alien from outer space shows up and tries to have sex with the Earth, and Koala Man is the only person that can stop it. This is a show where Koala Man has to fight a living flower person. It's this juxtaposition between a character that is a less funny Colin Robinson and a Rick and Morty villain that makes Koala Man work. It's this unfiltered silliness that will catch you off guard and have you laughing out loud. Now, I do think it's important to measure your expectations with Koala Man because there was only one season for this show at the moment, and it is a show that is clearly still trying to iron out the kinks. Koala Man is not the funniest show that I've ever seen, and there are better comedies out there. Even if we just look at adult animations, Koala Man doesn't come close to hitting the high points of Family Guy, American Dad, South Park, or even The Simpsons. However, those are all shows that have numerous episodes, whilst Koala Man has 8, and I do believe that Koala Man found its footing by the end of the season, with one episode in particular being genuinely hilarious. The show has teething problems, but the second half was better than the first, and I believe that the second season will be better than this first one. If I was to compare Koala Man to a show that already exists, then it would be Rick and Morty. Now, in all honesty, I've slowly gotten more and more tired of Rick and Morty as the years have progressed. Its humour that once felt unique and inspired is now a bit grating. It's a show where the writers are clearly very clever, but they also feel the need to be very clever with their writing and subvert our expectations at every turn. Unfortunately, this has led to me personally becoming less and less interested in the show, as it feels like the writers are refusing to commit to any ideas, and that the characters, for the most part, are not changing. I also don't like the constant use of meta-humour anymore. Rick and Morty is a case of there being too much of a good thing, and I'm not surprised that I've grown tired of the show, as I suspected I would when they announced that there would be an additional 70 episodes or something like that. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm comparing Koala Man, a show that I really enjoyed, to Rick and Morty, a show that I'm now bored of. The reason is simple. Koala Man reminds me of what Rick and Morty used to be. Koala Man reminds me of those first few episodes in Rick and Morty where we didn't know what direction the show was going down. Koala Man, quality-wise, is like those Rick and Morty episodes before the Mr. Meeseeks episodes. If you liked the Anatomy Park episode, or the episode where Rick and Jerry get stuck in a simulation, then you will like Koala Man. If you didn't like those episodes and you had to wait for Mr. Meeseeks before you could truly enjoy Rick and Morty, then I doubt Koala Man will be enough for you. If you haven't watched Rick and Morty, then just go watch Koala Man and decide for yourself. If you're still not convinced, then let me describe Koala Man and his characters to you. Koala Man is the most Australian show that I've ever watched. I also think it might be the only Australian show that I've ever watched. I won't lie to you, sometimes I would laugh at the show, only because what had been said by an Australian. Some things are just funnier when it comes out of their mouths. Just hearing a drug addict shout out, "I hate you, Koala Man, you ruined my life, you dickhead," becomes 10 times funnier when said by a character with an Australian accent. It also helps that the cast for this show is very good. Michael Cusack continues the trend of a creator of an animated show voicing multiple characters in that show. I'm not going to name every character that he voices, so I'll go with the main two. Koala Man and the best character in the show who also happens to have the best name in the show, Liam. Like I said, Koala Man, or Kevin, is a very boring man, and he's a character who could have easily tanked the show if it was not for how absurd everything else was in the show. Koala Man has clearly been set up as a comedy that is unapologetically Australian, and I love that. However, I am English, and there are a lot of similarities between England and Australia, including in our humour. I can't remember who said it might have been Stephen Fry, or it might have been some random comment on YouTube that I read, but it was about the difference between American and British humour. Essentially, in American comedy, they take something mundane and make it absurd. The best example would be to look at the US version of The Office, whereas British humour would be to take something absurd and make it mundane. An example I could think of would be to say that there's an alien invasion. The British character is mortified not because the world has been invaded, but because now when he goes to the shops, there's even less parking spaces because the UFOs have taken up so many. It seems if Koala Man is indicative of Australian humour, that Australian humour is much closer to British than American. Koala Man is the type of show to have a UFO land, and Koala Man's main concern would be about the alien being in a disabled parking spot, and then he would say something like, "They're going to have to pay a pretty hefty fine for that." Liam has the greatest name in the world, and is also a pretty fun character too. I love that he actually receives superpowers unlike his father, and it's Liam who makes the show's best episode as funny as it was. Let's just say I like his musical talents. Vicky is a character who, like Koala Man, could have been very boring, but it was honestly really refreshing to have a character who was just really normal. She has her own struggles and tries to juggle dealing with them whilst maintaining her family life. Sarah Snook does a fantastic job of giving a character that could have become one note a personality. Usually in shows like this, you don't like spending time with the wife character, as they're never as interesting as the main character, but because of Koala Man's personality, Vicky is actually the more interesting character. It was fun watching her talk about her issues and rediscover herself. It was just nice to watch her regain her confidence and rediscover her love for both Kevin and her family. I hope that Vicky doesn't change too much in future seasons, because it's her relative normalness in the face of everything strange that makes her so engaging to watch, at least for me anyway. Alison, played perfectly by Demi Lardner, is an evil schemer, and I would not be surprised if she ends up becoming the big bad of Koala Man after killing Nicole Kidman, which would honestly be pretty funny. She's definitely a better character than both Vicky and Liam, and probably also Koala Man too, if I'm being honest. I love that she actually feels like a teenager instead of what someone thinks a teenager should be. This goes for Liam too. I like that she has actual goals instead of being all horny about everyone around her, as most TV shows present teenagers instead of the anxiety-riddled balls of mental health problems that they actually are. Her character is really interesting, and I love the arc that's been set up for her character going forward. For some unreasonable and inexplainable reason, Hugh Jackman is in every episode of this show as Big Greg. Initially, I didn't really like Big Greg that much, but just like the rest of the show, he grew on me a lot. I like that they actually developed his character over the first season, especially in the episode with his brother, and I like that he seemed to become a lot less self-centered as the season went on. I think it would be great for his character going forward if he became more and more selfless, and a lot more of a bro for Koala Man. There are quite a few famous faces that show up in Koala Man, including the likes of Hugo Weaving, but Jermaine Clement has to be the standout. He just goes completely crazy in the voice acting booth, and it leads to a standout performance. The finale of Koala Man is a highlight of the season for me, and it would not have been without Jermaine Clement's insane performance. It looks like Koala Man will get a second season, which I'm very happy about. I really do hope that you check this show out, because whilst it might not currently be the best animated comedy that I've ever seen, it is a pretty funny show, and it is a lot better than Velma. Plus, the animation in Koala Man is at times excellent, especially for the emu episodes. I'm glad that was the episode where the animation went nuts. Anyway, go watch Koala Man, it's pretty funny.